No.
Mixtape did not become a war zone because every gamer suddenly cared about one short indie adventure. Instead, this became ammunition in an older war over reviews, value, politics, subscriptions, and what game even means. Reason was not that every gamer suddenly cared about one small indie adventure. Nobody woke up desperate to fight about Mixtape like it was the last cartridge on Earth. Mixtape launched on May 7th as a Day 1 Game Pass release, built around music, memory, teenage friendship, and one final night before adulthood. Critics moved fast. IGN gave it a 10. DualShockers gave it a 10. Metacritic sat in the mid-80s. OpenCritic looked strong too. Before most players downloaded it, the internet had already been told this emotional indie was important. Crucially, players hate being sold importance before they can touch the product. People are tired of being told the meal is legendary while the plate is still empty. Notice the nerve. By the end, I'll show you the one metric that explains why Mixtape hit hard. And it is not just the score. One artsy game stepped on the landmine gaming keeps pretending is not there. Supporters saw a heartfelt story about youth, music, and moving on. Skeptics saw a nostalgia package getting masterpiece treatment from outlets they already distrust. Both reactions can coexist. Immediately, the fight became about the review machine around it. Moment critics called it art, half the internet reached for a flamethrower. Perfect scores were the match. Plenty of people had no opinion on Mixtape until those 10 started floating around social media like warning sirens. Instantly, the question was not, is this good? Rather, it became, why does this type of game keep getting elite praise while ordinary players argue whether it even plays like a game? There sits the trust problem. Gamers did not see a review. Viewers saw a receipt for a culture they suspect is curated above them. Now pause before the comment section starts chewing furniture. Remember, this is not a script saying Mixtape is bad. You may have played it and loved it. Perhaps the music worked on you. Strangely, the writing may have punched you right in that ugly little place where old friendships live. Fine, art can do that. Still, a critic's masterpiece and a player's weekend are two different things. Whenever a score says perfect, people expect more than licensed mood. Audiences expect the word perfect to survive contact with their hands. Gameplay is where the argument gets real. Much of the pushback is not political first. Practicality came first. Reddit threads and user posts asked whether Mixtape is closer to a visual novel, walking sim, interactive movie, or actual game. Users complained the interaction felt thin. Several said moving forward through pretty scenes does not automatically create deep gameplay. Defenders pushed back and said games do not need headshots, skill trees, or boss fights to count. Truthfully, both sides have a point until they start acting like the other side is brain damaged. Mechanics first, players want control, challenge, failure, mastery, and systems. Story first, players want mood, writing, rhythm, characters, sound, and a feeling that sticks after the credits. Neither camp is fake. Trouble starts when one number pretends to answer both camps. Runtime made the fight sharper. 3 or 4 hours can absolutely be enough for a great experience. Short art is still art. Portal was not ruined by being lean. Journey did not need a bunch of upgrades to matter. However, when a short narrative game gets a perfect 10, players immediately ask what the score is measuring. Were critics grading emotion, writing, taste, teenage cinema nostalgia, or the full package as a game? Confusion turns into resentment fast, especially when the word perfect is sitting on top like a crown. But when the gameplay feels light, the internet stops looking at the buttons and starts looking for an agenda. Here, the landmine truly detonated. Culture war accounts did what they always do. Grifters grabbed the game, stripped out the details, and turned it into another rant about critics, politics, identity, softness, and whatever other buzzword needed feeding that hour. At the same time, regular players were making a different complaint. Their issue was value length, interactivity, and review trust. Those two groups overlap, but they are not the same group. Labeling every skeptic a grifter is lazy. Branding every defender a shill is also lazy. Online chaos took ideology and buyer's remorse, threw both into a blender, and called the smoothie discourse. Game Pass made the blast radius bigger. If Mixtape had quietly landed on Steam alone, the argument probably would have stayed smaller and nerdier. Xbox put it in front of subscribers on day one. Store pages listed subscription access and cloud play. Platform promotion told people this was worth noticing. Plainly, Xbox was not just stocking a shelf. Microsoft was putting this on a pedestal and telling you it was worth your weekend. Expectation changed instantly. Subscribers are not one cozy indie club. Crowd includes Doom people, Halo people, racing people, achievement hunters, story fans, parents with one free evening, and bored subscribers clicking whatever has a strong review average. Throw a fragile emotional art project into that crowd with a perfect score attached, and watch the pressure climb. Midway through, that secret metric starts to glow red. Money is not the whole issue. Greatness was the promise being broken. Access can make a game feel free, but time is not free. Attention is not free. For a viewer with 2 hours of free time after a 10-hour shift, a masterpiece that feels like a lecture is not a gift. Opening a highly praised title and feeling less game than promise makes the reaction personal. Suddenly, players do not feel challenged. Worse, they feel managed. Worst of all, they feel like the room agreed on greatness before they arrived. Honestly, that feeling is why comments get nasty fast. Few viewers want a taste lecture after wasting a free night. Especially when the lecture arrives dressed as objective truth. Useful breakdown lives there, not in screaming. Evidence beats vibes because viewers can feel when a rant is hiding missing homework. Value is not just price. Ordinary players do not need to sense that mismatch. They feel it the second hype becomes homework in their hands. Real value is the gap between what you were told and what your hands received. Exactly why Mixtape became useful for commentary. Score said masterpiece. Marketing said event. Length said quick. Complaints said light. User scores said divided. Put all of that together, and you get a small game carrying a large argument. Specialist press noticed the smoke too. While most critics praised the game, some coverage admitted the online fight was real, and that the perfect score era might be running into a wall of player resentment. PC Gamer's own reviewer did not hand Mixtape a 10, yet still wrote about the discourse around it. Other coverage framed the backlash around review trust, limited gameplay, short length, and culture war bait. Key detail is simple. Clearly, this was not one random angry thread pretending to be news. So, it became a real media story because the split was visible. Player sentiment is messy, and that actually makes the story better. Reviewers were largely warm. Buyers were colder in some places. Reports pointed to mixed user scores on Metacritic and lower Xbox ratings, while Steam looked healthier with very positive reactions. The honest answer is not, everyone hates Mixtape. Honest answer is worse for lazy creators, people are split. Fans love the mood. Another group bounced off the interaction. Certain players hated the praise more than the game. Tourists never played it, and still showed up, holding a torch, because the algorithm smelled blood. Nostalgia sits under everything. The game sells music, youth, memory, skateboards, parties, mistakes, friendship, leaving, and that sick little feeling that life is changing before you understand what you are losing. Right player feels that hard. Wrong player sees emotional bait with a soundtrack budget. Someone hears a love letter. Somebody else hears a playlist trying to mug him for $20. Meaning, this is not just taste. Taste became a clash over what games should reward. Backlash videos, reaction clips, debate uploads, and angry thumbnails are appearing because this topic is easy to package. Sadly, most channels will do the lazy version. Lazy side will yell, games media is corrupt, and call that analysis. Opposite side will yell, gamers are stupid cavemen, and call that culture criticism. No explanation there is enough. Smart coverage should not be Mixtape bad. Better angle is, why did this tiny game expose a giant review trust problem? Show the launch date, Game Pass, perfect scores, runtime debate, gameplay complaints, and player split. Separate political noise from normal skepticism. Then land the point. Simply, Mixtape did not break gaming. Language was already broken. Scoreboards are trying to serve too many audiences now. Journalists may reward emotional shape, writing, sound, and craft. Players may prioritize input, challenge, replay value, systems, and price. Casual subscribers may only ask whether their limited evening was worth spending. All of those people see the same 10 out of 10 and think it was written for them. Absurdly, that is insane. Single numbers cannot carry every expectation in modern gaming. Yet the industry keeps acting surprised when the number starts a fire. Metric is expectation gap. Scores are the headline, but the gap is the wound. When critic excitement sits far above player expectation, trust starts bleeding. After platform marketing boosts that excitement, the wound gets bigger. Once culture war accounts arrive, the wound gets infected. Average viewers understand this instantly, because they have been hyped into disappointment before. Customers have bought the supposedly essential game, opened it, and felt that quiet pause where marketing finally meets the controller. Maybe Mixtape is good. Potentially, it is great. Possibly, it is thin, beautiful, annoying, moving, overrated, or exactly what some players needed. Later, the internet turned it into evidence, and the actual game became secondary. Trust was already damaged. Patience was already thin. Subscriptions already trained people to sample fast and judge faster. Reviewing already felt disconnected from normal player priorities. Finally, Mixtape walked in with teenage feelings, licensed music, Game Pass access, and a perfect 10. Of course, the room exploded. In the end, the game did not start the fire. Basically, the room was already full of smoke. Mixtape just provided the soundtrack. When does a game stop being a game and start being a playlist with button prompts for you? Floor is yours.